All right, let's talk about the listening. Um, when I'm talking about you listening, you say they're not listening, but let's get tactical. All right, so I want you to take responsibility. I want you to be accepting. I want you to remain in the right mindset and the right demeanor and even level of calmness. I'm talking about not that, you're like a corpse and you don't have a pulse rate. I'm talking about you're remaining even keeled. All right, but now we got to get tactically into, well, what happens when we're having the dialogue with them? And I don't know if you caught this when I said, people might say, well, I want to be listened to. No, I think they really want to be understood. But when you are listening to them, are you paying attention to the unheard cause? Okay, this here is where the magic is. And I am not going to tell you, well, just listen and pay attention. You know why? Because even if you were, most of the time, when people are under duress, they're not using words that are congruent with what's actually the problem, right? Normally, their behavior is masking the reason for their dismay, what they're afraid of, what they're trying to avoid, what's upsetting them. And you're not a mind reader, right? So I would love to tell you, well, just listen and pay attention because people want to be listened to. But what I would really say is they don't want to be heard, right? They want to be understood. And in order for you to understand them, you can't rely on the words they're using solely. You get that, right? How many of you, just raise your hands, right? Have you ever talked, you're married, you got friends, right? You're talking to somebody and they're using words and you're like, why are you so upset? Right? Like that doesn't make any sense, right? It just doesn't make any sense to you because you don't have all the facts. You're not down here. You're trying to do this and you're not doing this. And it's not because you're bad people and you don't want to, it's that they're not making it easier for you. This happens, right? This is why it's so difficult sometimes. And then you're trying to be, logical when it's totally emotional, right? So you need to get at this. So how do you do that, right? How do you get here? This is where the magic is. Well, I would tell you, because your answer, this thing is here. It's in their why. That unheard cause is their why. Right. So why do you think what you think is more important to me than what you think? Why does that matter? Why is that important? Why are you so upset? Right. So you've got to get here. Now, I could say to you, well, if you just listened, wouldn't you get there? No, you won't. No, that would be bad coaching on my part. Right? Because that would also mean that they're using words that explain exactly why this is important, why this matters to me, why this should matter to you, why I care about it, why it's going to make a difference, or whatever. Okay? So how do you do that? Since you're not a mind reader, last time I checked, nor was I use these. Okay? Asking is nice, right? This is you. Do you know what this is? This is you taking step one to say, I'm not only listening to you and I care, but I care so much that I want to know this because this is what's going to help us move forward. Why do you think that? Did I write? Scribbling so fast. I can't even read my own stuff. Why do you think that? Why is that important to you? Right? Why does that matter? And by the way, we did the whole Albert Moravian thing, right? The 7-38-55 rule, 7% words, 38% tone, 55% body language. Just go with me on this, right? How you say what you say matters, right? So, hey, help me understand. Why is that important? Right? Help me understand. Explain that to me. But you get, this is to me, active listening. In the kindest, most empathetic way. You do this, you will alter, well, here again, I'm not trying to cure every ordinary person in the world. I'm just trying to give you some tools that will help you change the mindset of the person you're interacting with. Why does that matter? Right? This will get you here. This will get you to this. That's why that's so important. Okay? You got to get at their why. You cannot assume that your why is the same as their why. Okay? You can't. What I care about, it might not be the same thing you care about. Right? And I know some of you were saying, well, hey, they're not listening, or they're overreacting, or this or that, or they're dishonest. Their why's different. You might be this, work example, you might be focused on the greater good, for your customers, where they're focused on their next promotion, right? So that's going to make it difficult for you. Just an example, but you get what I'm saying. If you understand their motivation, then at a minimum, you can make an assessment of how best to handle this. All right. So before I go on to the next thing about just tactically and the interaction, you've got to get at their why. Without that, you're lost. You're lost. Why? If you don't know why, you can't reason well. You can't elicit positive responses. You can't grow together as a team, which is what you are in this discussion with them. Okay.